Hi friends, how are you? So welcome to the second part of building simplest streaming pipeline on GCP. In the first part, we discuss about how we can build a simplest real-time streaming pipeline, and it was most theoretical, going through how the platform will look like and discussing some of the aspects of it. In this video, I'm going to do the hands-on, and we will see in action how we can achieve what we talk. So I am on the Google Cloud platform, and the very first thing that I would like to do is go to the Cloud Shell. So if you don't know, Cloud Shell is a small Ubuntu machine on GCP, and it gives you some RAM and a small amount of storage, which you can utilize for doing some interacting with GCP services, basically. First thing I would like you to do is export this credential so that when you run some task on GCP, you have permission. You can create your service account and attach it to the Google application credentials, basically. And I would like to open editor because I have some code to show over here, which we're gonna run as a client and the data processing job. So let me open that. I think I okay. And I'll also open the Cloud PubSub console because I need to create a topic which can be utilized for sending the publisher message or publish the message. So I have this test one topic. You can also create your topic. Just go here, click on create topic, write some messages, add default. You can have a default subscription, create topic, and done. You need subscription because you cannot read message directly from the topic in PubSub. PubSub needs subscription from where you can actually read the messages. So I have subscription already, so I can basically go click view message, select my subscription that I want to get the data from, and click on the pull. Okay, so make sure that you have this topic ready, and first let me explain you the how client look like, what is the client looks like, and how I have built the stream processing job. Okay. So let's talk about the client. How what is client and how it looks like. So in our previous video we basically touched a little bit on this. We have a main. This is basically Java class, and it has main method which consists project ID and topic ID. This is for our configuration so that publisher can write a message to PubSub topic. And then we have a publisher example method. This method, what it's doing is it's creating the topic name object and publisher object. Publisher object will be required to publish the message, and topic name is useful to initialize the publisher eventually. And we have event, which is basically string message, and we are converting into the byte string and attaching it to the PubSub message object. And finally, publisher will be utilized to publish this PubSub message. So nothing complicated, it's pretty straightforward and clean. So we basically publish our message to Cloud PubSub, and Cloud PubSub attach a message ID, and once the message is published successfully, so we can get that message ID and log out that message ID to confirm that message was successfully published. Once the message is published successfully, that will be available in Cloud PubSub. So we can basically view that message, and we'll also run our Dataflow job that will process the messages that we publish. Our goal is to read the message. So we have hello streaming, and then we are attaching some ID over here. attaching some integer. So we start with 0 and there's a forever while loop that is mimicking the streaming producer. We'll have the hello streaming, and then there is uh, integer attached to it. We'll split that and we'll make it two different data and write it to BigQuery. So that's how whole pipeline looks like. We discuss about the client. Let me go to the processing part as well. So in Dataflow, basically we write our code in Apache Beam. Apache Beam is a open source project, and it provide the SDK to write batches and provide SDK to write batch and stream processing jobs without changing much code. So it's the same code that you will run on batch or streaming. Dataflow, to run the code on Dataflow, we are building here the streaming pipeline. Our streaming pipeline has the first, we have to create a option class. This option class has the what input and output we want to configure. So we don't want, so that we don't hard code anything, we can just pass it via parameter when we run our code. So this option class has input topic name, and we can just configure this input topic on runtime. We create this option class from the pipeline option factory, and this pipeline option factory is taking some arguments, as we spoke earlier, that we can pass some parameter at runtime. So the topic ID would be passed as argument, and then pipeline option factory takes that argument and map it to this option class. And then we pass this option class to our process data method. Process data method takes that option and configure our pipeline. So pipeline is the object that we first create from that option, and we basically apply a transformation on top of it. So P collection is an abstraction on the data, and it you can compare it, if you know Spark, you can compare it with RDD. That would be most closest comparison. On the pipeline, we basically apply some transformation, such as first reading from PubSub. So PubSub is like an input IO, which is reading data from some input source and returns the P collection. And then from on that we can perform a bunch of transformation and then finally write to our sync. So here what we are doing is we are converting to the table row. Table row is we are converting to the BigQuery compatible table row object, and then passing it to BigQuery so that BigQuery can write it to uh, table. BigQuery can write that data into its table. Here, as I explained you, we can pass the data via parameter, or we can just hard code it over here as well. In this example, BigQuery, for BigQuery, I am hard coding, but for PubSub, I'm passing the input on runtime. So I can basically pass the topic name at runtime. If I want to change some topic, I can just basically run this code for another topic as well. Let's see what is there in convert to table row method. Convert to table row, from the name it looks like we're just converting the p collection of string to the p collection of table row, but it's doing a little bit more than that, because I try to merge the code for processing part also. So yet it's taking the input data, it's trying to split the data, and then attaching the message and splitting the message and count from the string input that we provided, and writing and then giving back the table row object, which eventually we can write it into the BigQuery. So yep, nothing fancy here itself. It's pretty straightforward and easy. Split message is just splitting the message and traversing it, and then splitting out the string and count part and returning the result array. Table schema is giving us the BigQuery table schema, because we need that when we write to BigQuery, so that BigQuery can validate if the record is in this format or not. If it's not, then BigQuery will throw error that that record doesn't follow the schema. So we can attach the schema as well. And this is our pipeline option that I talked about earlier, that we can create an option class and provide the input parameters or output parameter at runtime, so that our code becomes uh, so that we don't have to hard code these values and we can change the code for any input. So here we have the input topic, so we can pass pubsub topic name at runtime, or we can pass this message as when we run the code. We can similarly write it here for BigQuery table name. So we have here BigQuery table name, dataset name. So we can create the same parameter here, and we can pass that also at runtime and basically get it from this. We can just get it from the options, like we are getting here option get input topic. So we can just write it over here, the option get BigQuery dataset or BigQuery table name, BigQuery project, etc. So it's pretty configurable, easy, and very clean way of writing the data transformation. So we also saw that how we can write the pipeline for stream processing. Let me go to this directory and run this job, Dataflow job first. I'll start with the Dataflow. I will go to the client, publish message, and we'll see that if the message is published correctly in PubSub and it's written to BigQuery. Just make sure that BigQuery table is already there, so that sync is available. But if it's not, we don't have a problem, because our code, we have configured that if the table is not present, please create the table. So let me see first if it's the table is there. No, there is no table in the PubSub demo. In our code, we have configured that create table when it's if it's required. So with create disposition, create if needed. So this code I think this code will create a table by itself based on the schema we have provided. This is the command line. It's the maven command that we have to run. We are passing the various parameters like project name. We talked about input topic for the options. So this options, this argument will be used for input topic name. We also need to provide staging location, temporary location. These two directory used by Dataflow for its internal storing some temporary data. Staging is used for storing the compiled jar. We are mentioning that the runner is Dataflow runner. Similarly, if you are running on Spark, you can write it down. The runner is Spark runner or Flink runner or any other backend. And then you also have to mention the region. I'm mentioning here US Central 1. So let's run this maven command and let's see if we don't get any error. We have set up already the credentials. Let's see, there's some error related to configuration or not. Sometimes there's a issue while connecting to the various services. So we need to debug that, but I think it looks fine. And from the log looks like it's already published it's already called the Dataflow job API, and I think we should be able to see Dataflow job. So let's go to the Dataflow, the job section. I hope that streaming pipeline is running. Yeah, it's running. This is the name of the job, type streaming, and these are the times. Let's go to PubSub section, and we can see that we are reading from PubSub, we are converting to the table row, and we are writing to BigQuery. All three stages are there, and they are in running stage. But as of now, we don't have any input. We haven't run our client. So let's do that. Let's go to the client part and publish our events. Wow, I'm liking this small demo. So cool to build this. Okay, we are already in PubSub client. What we have to do is that we have to execute this maven command so that our client is up and running, and it will publish the for a message from the forever loop, and we can see that there we are getting the message ID because we have written this logger command over here, which is writing this published message ID log. Okay, so now we are publishing the message to PubSub message queue. PubSub should have these records in it, and Dataflow should be running these records. Data should be reading these records, transforming the logic, separating the message and ID, and finally writing to BigQuery. So let's validate that. First, I will go to PubSub. I have the subscription selected. I'll click on pull, and let's see if some of the messages are publishing or not. There are a lot of messages currently in PubSub, so I would like to see the message published on March 26, 2021. And I see there is one message. Maybe we will wait a little bit more. If we wait more, we will see a lot of messages. But as of now, we have one message here. Let's see what is the status in Dataflow. So Dataflow should show us like if some elements it's able to wait, because we can see here that elements added or what is the element size and so on. Let's wait for it, and once we have this message over here, I suppose Dataflow can access those messages from PubSub, and it should be able to process and finally write to BigQuery. So far we are in good progress. Yeah, publisher is running without an issue. Dataflow is also running. We are just waiting for the data to be added to the PubSub. So let's wait for it. I think once it start getting the record, it will be pretty faster. By the way, let me explain a little bit about this portal. So meanwhile, it reads the record. We have the logs section over here. So if you want to see that some of the logs, that is like you can write into the client. You can see those logs over here, and uh, maybe you can write the error logs or info log or debug log. I think, yeah, we started reading the records. We can see that there are 23,288 or 24,788 records has been already added. And it's keep changing because we are publishing more and more records. If we go to the convert to table row part, we see that that many record has been converted as well. And finally, it's writing that record to BigQuery as well. So yeah, it's running fine, and since this pipeline has executed correctly, we should be able to see the table in BigQuery. So let me refresh the data set so that we can see the records in the newly created table. Yeah, PubSub has a table because we said to create the table right in the configuration. So this hello string table is there. We have message, we have count, we have details where we can verify the records that are added to this streaming buffer statistics, because the data that we are writing, it's streaming. We can go to the preview section and we can see that there are so many records written to this. We can also query here, just check what is the max count is there. That will give us the latest record count, 38403. That's the latest record was published, was in fact written to BigQuery. We can also see that max element here, 338 to 94. So still behind, maybe need to update. Yeah, 41,384. It's keep changing, right? It's very difficult to, but yeah, we can see, we can roughly we know that where we are in terms of count. And you can also run all the DDL, DML in BigQuery. BigQuery is SQL compliant, so we can run SQL queries in BigQuery. I think that's all I had for this demo. Please let me know if you have any question, and don't forget to kill your jobs and table, so that table is fine, but let's kill this data flow job so that you don't waste your money in GCP. And I'll also clean this client so that it doesn't produce more messages. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, and I think this demonstration was pretty good for having the overall idea of how we can build the streaming, a simple streaming pipeline on GCP. So thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in future.